So MacB with Sports Hop Media out of LA. Let's talk about the chemistry with you and your team. Howie, Terry, Jay, and how does that come about?
I think it comes about, one, because we genuinely like each other. We don't show up on Sunday pretending that we are friends or pretend that we like each other and that's why we find you funny. We genuinely spend time together away from the set. I always say our text chain, if HR ever got a hold of it, we'd all be fired. So, but that goes on not just during football season, all year long. Our wives are friends. Like my wife and Howie's wife are, they text like high school girls. They're planning on spending the rest of this week together. My wife comes in on Thursday. And so our families all get along. So when we get on the set, it's just a natural extension of what we do. And so I think that's where the chemistry comes from, is because you got a bunch of people who like each other, not just coworkers.
You've covered the league for quite some time. I love your work. I respect your work ethic. Let's talk about the evolution of the league. Everything from concussion protocol to overtime transitional rules, safety guidelines. Give me your perspective from when you first got in the business until now and the evolution of the league.
One, I think football is king. I started the first Super Bowl I went to was January '94, Michael Jackson halftime, Rose Bowl, all that stuff. And I had been covering, that was my first year covering the Dallas Cowboys as a local guy. So that was my first full year covering the NFL. So that was almost 30 years ago. And you look at then, and football was big, and the Super Bowl was big, but now it's everything. There's nothing that competes with it. And I think that's the biggest thing, is just to watch how this sport has grown exponentially, and how, it is America. All the other sports are not even secondary. It's like they're third, fourth, fifth down the line. So to see that, I think, is the big thing. As far as the sport goes itself, I do think that the league takes better care of its players. And a lot of people go, it's become a league of wusses. It hasn't, because guys are able to walk now when they retire, or they're able to think straight because they haven't had 15 concussions that no one talks about. Can it get better? Absolutely. It's still not perfect, but I do think it's a lot farther down the line than it was when I started here 30 years ago. And I think those are the two things. It's just about how much it's evolved and become the fabric of America, and about how it takes better care of its players. And also, guys are making so much money right now. It used to be back when we started, guys retired, then they had to find a second job, a second career, something else to do, which is why a lot of them went to TV. Now, they got 10 figures in the bank, so they do whatever they want to do if they want to do it.
Well said. Let's talk about Super Bowl 57. Okay, let's break this down. We got the Philadelphia Eagles, #1 rated defense in the league. Okay, but also offensively, led the league in rushing, 39 touchdowns on the year. Kansas City's got the #1 offense, averaging 298 yards a game. Give me your perspective in terms of the matchups with Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes. Who do you like on Sunday and why?
I think this is a great matchup. A lot of times you get to the Super Bowl and you pretty much can figure out which is the better team. I think these are the two best teams in football. They have been all season long, and so it's great to see them meet. And you look at a bunch of the numbers, and I think it was Field Yates who did it online or somewhere this week, but he showed, their yardage is exactly the same. They're each #1 in their conference on offense. Like all their stats, they've got the same number of all pros. It's amazing how identical these two teams are. So you get here, and it's almost a coin flip, but I think it kind of feels like the Eagles' year. It really does. I think the Eagles have been the best team all season long. When Jalen Hurts missed those couple of games, people kind of forgot how good this team is, and then they kind of cranked it up again once the playoffs started. I think if you had to give a score, I don't think it's going to be crazy scoring. I'd say Philadelphia maybe 27-21 with Jalen. Yeah, and Jalen Hurts, if not 100, close to 100. I think the big challenge for Kansas City is going to be trying to stop the defensive front of Philadelphia. And we don't know how healthy Mahomes' ankle is, and I think that may be a factor. But just the pressure that they can get with their front four, Philadelphia, I think will make a difference. And I don't see them getting a whole lot of pressure. Basically for Kansas City, it's Chris Jones or Frank Clark. And that offensive line for Philly is so good. I don't see them having a lot of pressure on them. But I do think it's a close game throughout. And I think hopefully it's a good game throughout.
And lastly, let's talk about the marketing and the growth at Fox and how that's been able to resonate in terms of viewership and audience. Let's talk about that component.
Yeah, no, I go back to football is America right now. And Fox is football. And I think you look at it and
they got it right.
Yeah. Exactly. You look at it, again, go back to the old timers. Fox Sports came into existence in 1994 by getting the NFL contract. There was no Fox Sports before. So without football, Fox Sports doesn't even exist. So I think that this fabric that's been interwoven between the sport and Fox has just grown together, and it's grown as us as a network, but it's also grown our coverage of football.
Outstanding as always. I appreciate your work. Thank you so much.
Anytime, Mac. Thank you. Take it.